Hey guys, welcome back to the NetApp on NetApp video series. My name is Matt Norton with NetApp IT, and today's topic will be Spot by NetApp. So what is Spot? So in the most general sense, Spot is a lifecycle type for virtual machines running in a hyperscaler like Amazon or Azure. Other common instance types would be on-demand or reserved. So on-demand is typically what most people would think of, which is a virtual machine that you start or stop, and your expectation is that that VM will run when you start it and only stop when you stop it. Spot is a little bit different. So Spot VMs run from the excess capacity that a hyperscaler has at any given point in time. And that excess capacity will be based off things like your specific instance type, the region, and the availability zone. Since Spot VMs run from excess capacity and not dedicated capacity like on-demand VMs, they can be reclaimed at any time by the hyperscaler, typically with a 30-second to 2-minute warning. After your warning, 30 seconds or 2 minutes ahead, the VM is typically terminated, along with any dependent resources like EBS volumes, ENIs. So why use Spot then, if it can be pulled out from under you at any given time? In a word, cost. With Spot VMs, you can save up to 90% versus on demand for a particular instance type. Naturally, Spot lends itself to subprod workloads, your dev, your test, and stage, where the expectation isn't that VMs will run 24/7 without any interruptions. For production workloads, though, the story can be a little different. But with the proper tooling from Spot by NetApp, even production workloads can utilize Spot instances. Spot by NetApp helps you manage unpredictable Spot VMs in a predictable way while you minimize costs and maximize uptime. Spot by NetApp has several different subcomponents. Today, we're going to talk about two of them, Managed Instances and Elastigroups. Managed Instances are meant to address the stateful VM use case. On paper, Spot is not a fit for the stateful VM use case because when your VM is inevitably terminated, and it will be terminated, you lose everything. So, how to run a stateful VM using Spot? Think of Managed Instance as a logical placeholder for your VM that exists outside of the hyperscaler. So, even though your hyperscaler terminates your VM and from their perspective it's effectively gone, Spot by NetApp maintains that logical placeholder that keeps your EBS disks, your IP address, and so on intact. When your VM is terminated by the hyperscaler, based on your managed instance configuration, Spot by NetApp will spin up a replacement Spot VM with the same EBS disks, all your data, the root EBS, and any additional EBS, your IP address, all of that will come back within about 10 minutes. The way that works with Managed Instance is that while your Spot VM is running inside the hyperscaler, Spot by NetApp takes snapshots every few minutes, up to about 5 or so, continuously. So when your Spot VM is terminated, and it will be terminated at some point, Spot by NetApp will attempt to restart your VM using the latest snapshot. An image is created, and then from that image, a new Spot instance is launched with a new instance type, which hopefully has some available capacity. Spot by NetApp Elastigroup is sort of a superset of the managed instance features. It can do everything that managed instances can do, plus more. So Elastigroup, as the name implies, is really meant for workloads that run on one or more VMs. Elastigroup allows you to manage a pool of VMs with different lifecycle types. For example, if your application has 10 VMs, you can configure Elastigroup to run as 5 on-demand and 5 Spot. That way, if you have any Spot reclamations happening, the on-demand VMs can carry the load, and the overall application uptime is not affected. Also, Elastigroup features predictive rebalancing. So using AI algorithms With 85% accuracy, Spot by NetApp can predict when a Spot VM will be interrupted and can take preemptive action. It can deploy a new Spot VM of a different instance type to replace the Spot VM instance type that is about to be terminated. This way, you're keeping the cost advantages of Spot versus on-demand, but also maintaining uptime that your application demands. Additional Elastigroup features include the ability to prioritize your Elastigroup VMs to be more cost-effective or to prioritize uptime. You can also fall back Spot VMs to on-demand in cases where multiple Spot markets for multiple instance types may be exhausted, but you require uptime anyway. You can have your Spot VMs that make up your Elastigroup fall back to on-demand. You can then set a maintenance window for your Elastigroup, perhaps after business hours, on the weekend, etc., where those on-demand VMs can then fall back to Spot to ensure you're getting the uptime with the cheapest cost. One other feature for both Elastigroups and managed instances is the ability to power off your VM or VMs at a given time, say after hours or on the weekend. If you don't need your VMs to be up and running, then the cheapest option is just to shut them down and then bring them up before they're needed. Let's take a quick peek at Elastigroup in the Spot console. If we go to create a new Elastigroup here in Amazon US East 1, we need to select our VPC, our primary product type, and an on-demand type in the event that we will use on-demand within our Elastigroup. We need to also select the availability zones that will apply. And keep in mind here, the more AZs that you select, the better, because that means that the Elastigroup has access to multiple Spot markets. So the Spot market for US East 1A is different than 1B, is different than 1C. Looking here at the Spot market scoring, we can see green is better. You see the score here, 96, that's good. This means that currently there is good Spot capacity within this availability zone for this particular instance type, the T3 medium. Yellow, of course, means that the capacity is less and that an interruption could be more likely. We also need to select our instance types for the Elastigroup. Like the availability zone, the more instance types that you select, the better. So I've selected a few here, medium and large, T2, T3, T3A, and so on. You can also select instance types from different instance families, like the compute optimized or accelerated, and so on. Again, the more you select, the better, because you have access to more Spot capacity. We select the relevant AMI that we'd like to use, security groups, key pair. We can also add custom tags here. We can also add user data, startup scripts, shutdown scripts. If we'd like to, we can persist the root volume in any data volumes that might be attached to the VM. And if we'd like to, we can maintain the private IP. Moving along, we can, since this is Elastigroup and not managed instance, we can select to integrate with a load balancer if applicable. And then we sort of get to the meat of how Spot can help us here. We set the size of the Elastigroup. We have a target, a minimum, and a maximum. Let's say that we have a 10 instance maximum. As mentioned earlier, if we would like Spot to fall back to on-demand, if the Spot market is exhausted, we can select that here. We can set the percentage of Spot instances. So if 10 is our maximum and we would like to do half on-demand and half Spot, then we can indicate that here. We can select preferred AZs to use out of the three that we indicated earlier. Let's set a preference for 1A. Similarly, we can set the preferred instance type. You may want to select, for example, the cheapest. We can select a preferred minimum instance lifetime. So if we want to make sure that our Spot VMs live for a certain duration, then we can indicate that here. That way Spot knows to use the Spot markets that are most amenable to that lifetime. A few more bells and whistles here. Of note, the scheduling, where we can add tasks for different things. So for example, if we wanted to scale down our 10 nodes on the weekend or whenever workload is expected to be minimal for the application, we can do that here. We can scale up, scale down. We can scale up and down by percentage, and so on. With a few more clicks, you can finish your Elastigroup configuration. Hopefully, this video has given you an idea of how Spot by NetApp, Managed Instances and Elastigroup in particular, can help you reap the cost benefit of Spot VMs in the public cloud while minimizing impacts to your uptime. Thank you for watching.